Chapter 233 The Three Evil Soulmaster Brothers. After Wang Qiu explained the secret behind the Golden Dragon Spear, even Wang Donga didn't think that she had taken advantage of Huo Yuao by fusing with the bloody Baboon King's soul ring. However, Huo Yuao could tell from the look in Wang Donga's eyes that she was still unconvinced by Wang Qiu. Just when everyone was about to carry on with their journey, they all came alert again. They all turned in one direction, alerted by Huo Yuao's spiritual detection. Three figures had entered Huo Yuao's spiritual detection, but they weren't soul beasts. They were humans. Without a doubt, they must be soul masters, since they could venture so deep into the great Stardo forest. But the group from Shrek didn't feel any sense of camaraderie even though they had met fellow soul masters. In this forest, it might not be a good thing to meet other soul masters. Everyone who came here was hunting soul beasts to obtain soul rings. Conflicts might arise if they targeted the same soul beasts. At this point, Janlasan and Hanruo demonstrated their rich wealth of experience. A depression was formed in the ground as moonlight flashed. Streaks of dazzling golden ropes flashed past, and the corpses of the ink leopards were dragged into the depression. Moonlight blinked again, and the ground was leveled. The entire process was completed in a few seconds. Huo Yuao only realized what was happening after a moment. The corpses were buried in order to prevent the other party from deducing the extent of their abilities. Just as they finished concealing the ink leopards, the three strangers arrived in front of them. When Huo Yuao saw them for the first time, he was slightly stunned. A strong sense of crisis started to fill him. They were three elders that looked at least 70 years old. The shocking thing was that they looked exactly the same. They were even dressed the same way. They were all very thin, but they had lots of wrinkles on their faces. Their greyish-white hair flowed behind their backs. Their eyes were a dim yellow, and gave off a lifeless feeling. The only special trait about them was that they all had aquiline noses and thin lips. They were dressed in long, greyish robes and each held a walking staff. Their walking staves were entirely black, and were fully 10 feet long. At the top of each staff was a greyish gem the size of a human head. Once they appeared, they turned their attention on everyone from Shrek. Their actions were in eerie tandem. They tapped their walking staves on the ground before their bodies drifted forward. They lifted off and landed at the same time. In just a matter of seconds, they had already arrived in front of them. Everyone from Shrek went into their previous formation. The only difference was that Janlasan came up beside Wang Qiu and stood side by side with her. The elder in the center furrowed his brow slightly and muttered, "A bunch of dolls." His voice was hoarse, as if his larynx was damaged. It was extremely awful to listen to. The elder on the left said, "There seems to be a bloody smell here." The elder on the right directly asked them, "Who are you people? Where are all of you from?" Janlasan smiled slightly and stepped forward. She bowed slightly and said, "Greetings, elders. We're from the Moonlight Sect in the Heavenly Soul Empire." The elder on the right commented, "All of you seem young, but you're able to venture so deep into the great Stardo forest. It seems like your cultivations are not low. Unleash your soul rings for us to see." The three elders weren't just alike in terms of their appearance and dress. Even their voices were equally awful. "Elders, it might be a little overboard to bully us like that." A gentle voice sounded from afar before Vice Dean Kaimaya walked forward slowly. She seemed very slow, but her movement was instantaneous. She only took a few steps before she was in front of the rest and stood beside Janlasan. The elder on the right chortled and replied, "See, I was right. These little dolls couldn't have ventured so far into the forest on their own. They have an elder here. Very well, you shall unleash your martial soul and soul rings for us to see." Kaimaya laughed slightly and replied, "The three of you must be qualified before you can make me unleash my martial soul." As she spoke, she lifted her right hand up and pushed it forward. The elder on the right glared, and his dim yellow eyes brightened. He also lifted his right hand to strike Kaimaya. Bang! As a deep, muffled sound echoed out, a thick cloud of gas burst forth. This stream of gas shot into the sky and caused the crown of the tree above them to shake tremendously. Countless leaves started to descend from the sky. Wow, an 8-ring cultivation. The elder on the right was a little stunned as he looked at Kaimaya. He twisted his lips and said, "No wonder you dare to act so big in front of me. 8-ring cultivation." 8-ring cultivation. Huo Yuao observed silently from one side and nodded his head in approval. Whether it was Janlasan or Kaimaya, they had revealed their 8-ring cultivation to confuse their opponents. However, he was also shocked. The three elders' ability to tell Kaimaya's cultivation meant that their own cultivations were not below 8 rings. 3 soul Douluo who appeared hostile. They weren't going to be easy to deal with. Kaimaya remained calm. "It seems like you're also a soul Douluo. Why do you have to bully us, then? I'm only bringing these kids to obtain some soul rings. The forest is so huge. I'm sure we won't obstruct the three of you." The elder on the right laughed and replied, "Whether you obstruct me is not up to you to comment. Let's do it this way. Help us do something, and we'll set you free. You should know that it's impossible for you to deal with the three of us if there's only one soul Douluo on your side." The elder in the center said, "Yes, all of you can go after you help us complete this task." The elder on the left followed with, "It might even be beneficial for all of you. If the soul beasts that you hunt along the way are suitable for you, you can absorb their soul rings after everything is over." Kaimaya was moved as she said, "Considering your cultivations, I'm afraid what you want us to complete isn't an easy task. Furthermore, we don't have many resources with us, and we're pressed for time." The elder on the right said, "I don't think you have a choice. If you wish to remain here forever, I don't mind wasting more effort. Furthermore, it's not far from here." The elder in the center said, "Let's cut the nonsense. Follow us." As he spoke, the three elders unleashed their martial souls at the same time. Something strange happened. Their right hands that were holding their staves turned greyish and were engulfed by a layer of greyish scales. These scales quickly spread to the rest of their bodies, including their faces. Their staffs even emanated intense greyish light. The gems also lit up and started to glow with a fresh red color. Soul tool. Huo Yuao already made his judgment when he saw the 3 staves earlier. They were different from the Golden Dragon Spear. The metallic feeling and undulations that were specific to soul tools couldn't be concealed from Huo Yuao's spiritual detection. Huo Yuao was even more stunned after realizing they were soul tools. He believed that they were Class 8 soul tools. 8-ring soul Douluo who possessed Class 8 soul tools. Were they Class 8 soul engineers? However, they didn't simply look like soul engineers, considering the intensity of their soul power undulations. More accurately speaking, they were more like soul masters equipped with soul tools. They were extremely strong triplets. No wonder they were so arrogant and self-confident. This was a demonstration of their immense abilities. Kaimaya hesitated slightly before nodding. She said, "All right. However, how can I trust the 3 of you to keep your promise and release us after we complete this task?" The voice of the elder on the left became slightly gentler, and he said, "We'll make a vow then. With our statuses, do you really think we'll go back on our promise?" After he finished speaking, the 3 of them said in unison, "I, Zhong Wishan / Zhong Lidi / Zhong Liren hereby swear that we'll not put these people in front of us in a spot after they complete our task, and release them. If we betray this vow, let us die horrible deaths." The vow sounded very normal and ordinary. There weren't any problems with it. The only weird thing was that the unified way in which they made their vow, which suggested that they were very used to making it. Kaimaya stopped hesitating and nodded. She said, "All right. Will the 3 of you lead the way for us and tell us about what you want us to do in detail along the way?" The elder on the right was Zhong Wishan, the one in the center was Zhong Liren, and the one on the left was Zhong Lidi. They were named Heaven, Tian, Earth, Di, and Man, Ren. Their surname was also very weird. Kaimaya had no recollection of them. They were soul Douluos, and should be renowned on the continent, but Kaimaya had never heard of them. This showed that they deliberately tried not to leave an impression behind them. Kaimaya glanced over at Janlasan and said, "Everyone, follow them. Maintain the formation. We'll help the 3 of them complete their task before we continue to search for soul beasts." Kaimaya and Janlasan's gazes met, and Janlasan immediately understood her intention. How would this Shrek Academy team be afraid of 3 soul Douluo given their makeup? Kaimaya didn't choose to conflict with the 3 elders because she wanted to find out their true intentions, and was also waiting to exploit a better opportunity. The 3 elders walked in front in exactly the same way. They retracted their martial souls, and their staves regained their original looks. However, the intense undulations from these Class 8 soul tools still left a deep impression on Huo Yuao. Huo Yuao could clearly sense that the most important part of the staves were the gems at the top. The gems were empty, but there seemed to be extremely intricate formation arrays within them. It was just that the strong undulations of soul power released by the formation arrays prevented Huo Yuao's spiritual detection from looking into them. However, he could still subtly sense that they were similar to Electrolux's staff. The 3 elders were very quick, but they weren't too far in front of the rest. When the gap grew, they would stop to wait, and weren't exactly impatient. Kaimaya reduced her speed as she led the team. When Janlasan started to move, she signaled forward her hand. Her instructions were clear. Everyone was supposed to maintain their speed at a 4-ringed cultivation level. Their speed was still quite fast even at this level. The three elders had mentioned that it wasn't very far, but they still took 2 hours before reaching their destination. The three of them stopped, and Zhong Lishan turned back to look at the Shrek group. He gestured for everyone to maintain their silence. The three brothers were cautious at this point. They were even slightly tense. Kai Mai came up beside the three of them and asked softly, "Elders, can you tell us what we're supposed to do?" Zhong Lishan said softly, "There's a cave not far from here. There's a living soul beast inside the cave. We'll try to draw it out later. What you have to do is to attack it and kill it. Just like that." Kai Mai was a little doubtful as she asked. The three of them lack offensive strength. It can't be this simple. Zhong Lishan was certain as he said, "Just like that. That fellow is very cunning. We're not scared of it, and you don't have to unleash an all-out attack against it intentionally. Just don't let it run away. It's very fast, and can be considered an agility-type soul beast. Form a semicircle first. Loren, go and draw it out." Zhong Loren acknowledged his words. He tapped his staff on the ground and passed through the shrubs in front of them. Who are you? Changed his spiritual detection to make it all around. He also shared it with Kai Mai and Zhang Lasun at the same time. Zhong Loren was very quick. After advancing forward for around a kilometer, he started to slow down. His actions also became much more cautious. After passing a few trees, he finally stopped. He looked at an ancient tree not far in front of him and slowly lifted his staff. The greyish scales engulfed his body once again. A thick greyish radiance also lit up the gem on his staff, which glowed with a projection. It seemed to be a soul beast that looked like a rat, but it was made completely from red light. This projection flew towards the ancient tree quickly and started to dig into the ground several meters away from the tree. It dug all the way to the cave. Who are you? Kai Mai and Zhang Lasun became nervous as they reached this point. Even Kai Mai's self-confidence wavered slightly. Why? Evil soul masters. Zhong Loren's ability could only come from an evil soul master. It wasn't just red, but the color of blood. Who are you? Projected the aura of desolation exuded by the rat-like soul beast using his spiritual detection in their minds. The thick, bloody sense and quivering spirit were characteristics special to evil soul masters. Who are you? Finally understood what the class 8 walking staffs were for. They were used to seal the spirits of soul beasts. Zhong Loren was summoning a soul beast's spirit to achieve his goal. The blood red light flashed before disappearing, and the earth started to shake. A furious roar sounded from the cave in front of the ancient tree. A head popped out from the cave. Who are you? Was shocked when he saw this head. It was a soul beast that he recognized. It had dark golden fur and ferocious-looking eyes. There was also its terrifying aura. It was undoubtedly an extremely strong dark golden terraclaw bear. From the size of its head, Who are you? Could tell that it was much stronger than the dark golden terraclaw bear he had met earlier. Is this a 10,000-year dark golden terraclaw bear? A dark golden terraclaw bear with a 10,000-year cultivation could challenge an ordinary 100,000-year soul beast. If this was a 10,000-year terraclaw bear, it was as dangerous as a tidal Douluo. The three elders wanted to deal with a 10,000-year dark golden terraclaw bear. No wonder they couldn't kill it on their own. After provoking the bear, Zhong Loren retreated swiftly. As he retreated, a frightening light projection flashed before disappearing. The dark golden terraclaw bear reached out its right arm from the cave. The terrifying dark golden light from it covered more than 50 meters in a 150-degree region in front of it. Wherever the dark golden light passed, all the plants were instantly torn apart. Its sharp and vicious aura even left 5 streaks of pitch black marks in the air. The air had been clawed apart by it. It was simply too strong. This was the dark golden terraclaw bear, a transcendent soul beast that was equally powerful in offense and defense. If Zhong Loren hadn't retreated quickly, he might not have survived the bear's attack. A surprising scene occurred. The bear didn't rush out of its cave, and only let out a deafening and furious roar. Following this, Zhong Loren let out a piercing scream. After hearing his piercing scream, Zhong Lishan and Zhong Lidi were both delighted. Zhong Lidi couldn't help but say, "I want." Zhong Lishan glared at him and interrupted his words. After that, he turned to Kai Mai and said, "Let's go. My third brother has discovered the soul beast. Let's go and trap it. Just attack it as much as you want." Kai Mai was also conflicted at this point. They had met evil soul masters who were all soul Douluo. She wasn't thinking of how to kill the three of them, but how to retreat with all the inner courtyard students. Even though these three evil soul masters only had 8 rings, they were each capable of fighting a tidal Douluo. While these inner courtyard students were outstanding, the powers of evil soul masters weren't just evil. They were also very difficult to defend against. Since Kai Mai didn't know what their abilities were, she didn't want to take any risks. Okay. Kai Mai didn't want to fall out with them at this point, and led the rest as they followed behind. With Who Are You spiritual detection as a guide, they knew what to do. A 10,000-year dark golden terraclaw bear. Its soul ring was a treasure that couldn't be foregone. Li Yongyu hadn't added a soul ring, and its soul ring was undoubtedly suitable for him. However, they had to resolve this crisis first. Zhong Lishan and Zhong Lidi didn't monitor them too much. They only gestured for them to move to the front faster. Very soon, everyone converged with Zhong Loren. Zhong Loren nodded at his 2 elder brothers, as if he were telling them something. Zhong Lishan and Zhong Lidi also exchanged glances. Zhong Lishan turned to Kai Mai and said, "That soul beast is very sly. We'll do it this way later. I'll attack from the front and coordinate with all of you to stop it. My 2 brothers will ambush it from the back. Once it bursts over, we'll team up to block it. Do you understand?" Kai Mai nodded and asked, "What kind of soul beast is it?" Zhong Lishan glanced at her and said coldly, "You'll know when it comes over. Relax. I'll be fighting with you. Your disciples can get ready." Kai Mai said, "All right, I'll devise a strategy." Just as she spoke, the dark golden terraclaw bear roared furiously again. No, it was actually screaming in pain. Kai Mai was slightly stunned. In the next moment, she sensed the good news that Who Are You's spiritual detection brought. The previous changes eventually still kindled Who Are You's suspicions. It was understandable for 3 soul Douluo to be nervous against a dark golden terraclaw bear, but why did they need so many people to help them? Capturing the attention of this dark golden terraclaw bear wasn't going to help them in hunting and killing it. With their abilities, they could easily kill the bear. Why did they have to drag them along? What was the reason? Who Are You discovered the reason when you heard the bear screaming in pain. At this point, Zhong Lidi and Zhong Loren had just left, but they didn't attack the bear. When it screamed, the 2 of them stepped back deliberately. What about the dark golden terraclaw bear? Its head and arm were still outside, but it didn't leave the cave as it screamed. Who Are You started to explore further into the cave using his spiritual detection even at the expense of depleting more soul power. There must be something in the cave that the bear couldn't give up. He saw it very soon. The cave wasn't very big, and it was also not level. Evidently, the bear had dug it out with its own claws. Inside the cave, there was a huge amount of black blood. The bear's legs were actually trembling slightly. Within this pool of dark blood, there were 2 smaller fellows that were less than a meter long, gnawing on their fur. Their eyes weren't even open yet. This was actually a 10,000-year dark golden terraclaw bear that had just given birth, and was in a weakened state. It didn't leave its cave because it was too weak. At the same time, it was also trying to protect its 2 kids. Who Are You's heart softened when he sensed this. That was because he immediately recalled how his mother had protected him. Without a doubt, the 3 evil soul masters' target wasn't just the dark golden terraclaw bear. They were targeting its 2 kids too. With their abilities, no one knew how these 2 infant dark golden terraclaw bears were going to be exploited if they were captured. We have to stop them. The same thought arose in Kai Mai, Zhang Lasun, and Who Are You's minds. At this point, Zhong Lishan said, "Watch me. I'm going to make a move." Kai Mai nodded and turned around at the same time before gesturing to the group from Shrek. Her gesture seemed very simple, but every inner courtyard disciple knew what she meant. All-out attack. Undoubtedly, their target wasn't the dark golden terraclaw bear. Zhong Lishan's back was facing everyone. He didn't seem to realize anything, or perhaps he was too self-confident. He lifted his staff slowly, and greyish scales started to engulf his body once again. His soul rings also drifted into everyone's view for the first time. Everyone was left with a deep impression as they sensed the capabilities of this evil soul master from a close distance. A thick bloody aura swept over them, and everyone felt as if they were surrounded by corpses. The awful smell left them nauseous, and it was even getting difficult to breathe. A piercing scream suddenly resonated. This scream was similar to that of the dark golden terraclaw bear's screams earlier. The only difference was that this scream was louder and sounded more furious. It also seemed to contain a sense of unbearable pain. A huge bloody light projection surfaced from Zhong Lishan's body. It was a dark golden It was a dark golden terraclaw bear. Its terrifying figure was greater than 7 meters in height. When it appeared, its aura shook the surrounding trees and plants. However, it wasn't a solid entity. Its figure was half transparent, and its frightening aura revealed an indescribable pain. Its spirit was even trembling, distorting, and trying to struggle. However, it couldn't break free. It could only vent its torment by screaming pathetically. When the red dark golden terraclaw bear's spirit started to roar, Yua could sense that the body of the bear that had just given birth turned rigid. In the next moment, a hysterical and full-on roar was released from this female bear. She couldn't be bothered about her kids in the cave anymore. As her huge palm pressed onto the ground, she exited the cave and started to burst forward rapidly. So despicable. Yua understood everything soon after. The spirit that Zhonglishan revealed must have had some close connection to the female bear in the cave. It might even have been her partner, and the father of the 2 infant bears. However, why did he do that? The male bear was likely to be stronger considering the strength of its spirit. Since the 3 of them could kill the male bear, why couldn't they deal with the female bear? Suddenly, a thought flashed across Yua's mind. He was reminded of what Wang Yan had mentioned before. There were very few dark golden terraclaw bears. That was why they couldn't use the strength of their species to rule the world of soul beasts, even though they were individually very strong. However, why were there so few of them? Logically speaking, they should be better able to survive considering their immensely strong abilities. There was only one reason: their reproductive capabilities. They were bestowed with great strength, but were devoid of reproductive capabilities. Generally speaking, it was very difficult for a dark golden terraclaw bear to find a partner. That was because they would roam the world of soul beasts alone after they matured. They would also be invincible among all soul beasts of the same level. This characteristic was also a reason why it was difficult for them to carry on their lineage. Even when a male and female dark golden terraclaw bear met, they had to be interested in each other before they could mate. Wang Yan joked that dark golden terraclaw bears had different aesthetic standards compared to humans. It was very unlikely for 2 bears of opposing genders to fall for each other. If it was one-sided, violence might be a means to earn the rights to copulation. However, a female bear might still be able to resist a male bear even if she couldn't beat him. Both parties would be hurt as a result. Even if a male bear got his way, he might not be able to carry on his lineage. That was because the male and female beasts might not be sexually compatible, and thus a male bear's genes would be unable to be passed down. Furthermore, a dark golden terraclaw bear's estrus cycle was only once every 10 years. Each female bear could only bear 1 to 2 kids. Under such a situation, it was very difficult for them to prosper. Once every 10 years, it wasn't even a certainty. Some male bears might not even have their own kids for their entire life. This was the sad truth that dark golden terraclaw bears had to face. The sadder thing was that they belonged in the same world as humans. Legend had it that a dark golden terraclaw bear's cub could be tamed by humans. If they could be successfully tamed, the owner would possess terrifying fighting strength. Humans had also been trying their best to find their own cubs. It wasn't just humans either. Dark golden terraclaw bear cubs would treat all females as their mother due to their strong survival abilities and unyielding desire to survive. No matter who they were captured by, they treated them as their kin as long as they were nurtured properly. That was why some highly intelligent creatures would try to lay their hands on dark golden terraclaw bears. Dark golden terraclaw bears were also very proud creatures. When they discovered that they couldn't overcome their opponent using their own abilities, they would carry out an unthinkable and cruel action: killing their own cubs. They would rather let their kids' cubs than let the enemy benefit. This made it even more difficult for the lineage of dark golden terraclaw bears to be passed down. When Wang Yan had recounted this, his emotions had flowed. However, Yua finally understood the 3 Zhongli brothers' intention when he recalled all this. They could certainly overcome the weakened female bear, but their targets were the 2 cubs. At this point, they were drawing the mother bear out using the male bear before Zhongli and Zhongli went and kidnapped the 2 cubs. This would help them complete this task successfully, while those from Shrek Academy were just cannon fodder. Without a doubt, the 3 brothers had planned this out from the start. The female bear was in a maniacal state right now. As she approached, she would most certainly turn violent when she saw humans. Zhonglishan could also exploit this opportunity to escape. Zhonglishan could tell that there was at least a soul Douluo among them. After they depleted some of the mother bear's energy, she wouldn't be able to escape once the 3 brothers attacked her. It was a perfect plan. While it was a coincidence that the 3 brothers met them, they wanted to exploit this coincidence to achieve their goals. Yua figured all this out in an instant. He also activated his spiritual detection at the first instant and shared his thoughts with everyone else. Attack now. Kai Mai reacted decisively, and didn't hesitate any further. She lifted her right hand, and a gust of strong wind burst from her hand. It was aimed towards Zhonglishan. However, Zhonglishan turned into a waft of green smoke at this moment. He disappeared into the brutal winds, while the bloody male bear turned back. As he roared furiously, he clawed towards them with a tormented look in his eyes. It was his spiritual power. Although his spiritual power had been enhanced by the evil soul masters, it wasn't as strong as it was when he was still alive. At this point, the female bear had crawled out of her cave and was rushing forward with big steps. Her husband's voice was too familiar. His tormented screams and her yearning for him overcame her will to protect her kids. The 3 brothers exploited her feelings. Even though they were despicable, their evil thoughts were very unpredictable. Even Kai Mai hadn't expected such a disadvantageous situation. The strength of these 2 dark golden terraclaw bears was already very great. However, they were still strong enough to deal with these 2 bears. After all, Kai Mai was a titled Douluo. The missing 3 brothers were the problem. How long would they take to capture the 2 cubs? Would mercy be shown when they returned? By then, everyone from Shrek would have been weakened by these 2 dark golden terraclaw bears. Today's fight was very perilous. What do we do? This same thought appeared in everyone's minds. The first person to react was Yua. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.